Welcome, friends! It is I, your host, Scarf, and it's time for a different kind of video. And this is an argument against what's going on with the gold gains from killing. I don't like it, and I want to argue why I don't like it, and give you a bunch of points why instead of just saying it's stupid. No, I want to argue why I don't like it, and give you my evidence for it. And then we can talk about, debate it in the comments, and see what we can come out of it. I have some alternate ideas on what can be done. They might not be the best ones, so maybe out of this conversation we can get a better solution and just see if we can actually make a difference here. Because my problem is what this change the gold has done. And I'm going to talk about a lot of points. I'm going to talk about the old way to gain and the new way you gain. Hi-Rez's reasoning behind what they've done. Why I feel like there's more of a focus on PvE than PvP now. What this does to assassins more than anyone else. What this does to junglers more than anyone else. And what this does to early gods more than anyone else. And also, what does this do to good players compared to bad players? And then, of course, at the end, the alternate solutions. And in the background, we have a Hell Assault game that was pretty good, so you can watch that if you don't care about anything I'm saying here. Just enjoy the game. And I would like the conversation to be in the comments of this video, and not spread out too many places, because Reddit posts disappear within 1 to 2 days, and that's not going to work out for a debate or a talk about it, what can be done better. Like, we can talk about it here and then present it to Reddit maybe, but 1 or 2 days is not enough time to really talk about this, I don't think. So I really want it to all be on the video so that we have it all centered there, we can talk about it, and just see what can be done better, because I don't like what I see right now. Now first let's talk about the reasoning behind this. Now Hi-Rez has mentioned his reasoning, that is, he wants us to focus more on objectives than kills, and you can understand that in maybe lower level play where people are just killing repeatedly, all they're doing is killing, they're not even trying to finish the game. They're just killing people, and that is making the game less fun for people. I understand that. But the repercussions for higher level play is pretty bad, I think. And also just what this does for snowballing. This is the other thing, is they want to slow down snowballing. And I don't think it's the right way to do it. Because we can see how it is. The way it is, before they changed it, was you gain 100 gold, and then it's affected by player level and kill streak, and how much gold your victim had. So ultimately you gain somewhere between 100 and 200-ish gold per kill. What this did is by the time you got to late game, like an hour into the game, everyone's level 20, you're barely working your 6th item. That's what happened to a few people, and that's not good. So they changed it to being 150 now. So what you do is you gain between 150 to 250-ish gold per kill, which is still less than the original. The original was you gained 300 gold, and it was affected by your kill streak or your opponent's death streak. First blood, the old way was 100 gold, the new way is 200 gold. So even if you got first blood in the new way, it does not measure up to first blood in the old way, and it barely measures up to just getting a kill the old way. So that's what it did, and this really slows things down a bit. And that's a problem in that this is supposed to be an action-based game, that's always been the emphasis, and yet we're slowing it down, and not in the right way, I think. Like, I think we can do something to keep the action, while as affecting snowballing in a different way and also objectives in a different way. But let's look at just gains in general about everything with the new way of things. Because you gain between 150 and 250-ish gold, depending on the level of each other. If you're a high level person than them, you gain less gold. If you're a lower level, you gain even more gold. If you somehow kill someone who's 6 levels above you, you gain a lot of gold, I guess. You gain about close to 300-ish, maybe a little bit more than that if you're lucky. But when you're even level or when everyone's 20, not much gold's going on. But let's look at some numbers here, and I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you, but here it is. When you kill someone around the beginning of the game, you gain about 150-ish gold, maybe up to 200. That's how much gold you gain. Now let's look at some camps here. Let's talk about mid-camps. Let's say you focus on mid-camps. Mid-camps, each one is worth 90 gold and 280 XP. Taking out both mid-camps is about as much as killing somebody. Now let's look at the mini gold camps and the buff camps. A mini gold camp gives you 184 XP and 71 gold. The buff camps give you 229 XP and 91 gold. If you take one buff camp and one gold camp together, you get 162 gold. So basically you get almost as much from 2 camps as you would if you killed somebody. And then let's go ahead and look at the lane. How much gold do you get from one thing? Well, you get a minimum, if you don't get any last hits, you get a minimum of 87 gold, a maximum of 129 gold. That is from 6 minions. 3 melee, 3 ranged. That is how much you get. So, the minimum you can get from a kill is 150, we know this. You almost get enough from a lane as you would from a kill, from one group of lane minions. 2 groups of lane minions and you definitely beat it. So just being in lane and not killing anyone, you get as much as killing someone for 2 just lanes. That's how much you get. That's the gains you get there. Jungling is more lucrative than killing someone. Laning is more lucrative than killing someone. So what does this do is, like I said, I think it slows it down. What it does is, killing is not as important. You shouldn't be killing people. Because if you do, you run the risk of getting killed yourself, and then you're not getting as much gold and XP from the lanes or from the jungle camps because you took that risk, a risk that you don't need to take because it's not lucrative. It's not worth it because you make half as much as you used to make. So what does this do to assassins and junglers? Because they're so gank heavy. And most assassins are junglers, but not all of them are. What does this do to them? What it does to them is it makes killing not really necessary, and it doesn't mean anything. The problem for assassins is, except for maybe 2 of them because they're strong late, all the other assassins are strong early to mid. Assassins need to kill a lot of people so they can get a good gold gain so that they are effective mid to late game before everyone catches up to them. Because once everyone catches up to them, they're pretty weak. The only exception who's kind of strong in different ways is Loki can clear towers on his own, while the other assassins junglers cannot do what he can do when it comes to a tower. He can kill it on his own, put up a decoy, and then shred that thing. Loki can do that. None of the other gods that are assassins or junglers can do that. They have to rely on minions for that. The other exception is Fenrir and Thor, as far as assassins go, is they're pretty good late, so they're able to hold out anyway. But the other gods have to get ahead with gold, and they don't have the gold anymore to get ahead with, so when it hits late game, as it should hit late game, they're in trouble. More trouble than they've ever been. We can look at warriors. Warriors, they have a bit of an okay early, their mid gets stronger, and then they're just monsters late. Same thing goes for hunters. Hunters are pretty good all around though, but warriors are pretty much weak the first couple levels, then they get better mid, and then they're just monsters late. That's how they are. They're not as affected as everyone else is because just the way it works. Assassins don't have any late. That's just the nature of how assassins work. And because there's no more gold gain for them doing their function, which is to kill, because they gained less for doing their function, they just fall off late. So why play an assassin? That is the argument I have, is why play an assassin when you don't gain as much as you used to for doing your job? So assassins fall off, junglers fall off, unless they're a warrior jungler. You will fall off in the late game as a game should go. A game should get to late, and you'll be in trouble. And I'm noticing this, and you'll see this in my Arachne games, is I am forced to focus on PvE to stay competitive because my ganks don't mean anything to me. They don't do enough for me. That is the problem. I am jungling 24/7 and ganking whenever I see something, or whenever I have to defend someone. And that is what an assassin is now, is they're just constantly PvEing until they find a point to do PvP to help out somehow. And you see that with the lanes, is that it's better to be passive than to be aggressive. You can kill someone and they'll be short on some gold and XP for a little while, but then if they're passive, then they got nothing. They hide under the tower, they're good. That is what I see. We've slowed down the game by doing this, and it's just not working. I don't think it works because it just ruins the game for a big part of the roster. There is no reason to be an assassin at this time because of that. And assassins, all of them are early to mid gods. There's a couple other gods that really rely on early to mid, but the big focus is assassins when it comes to that. All the hunters are amazing late, all the warriors are amazing late, all the mages are amazing late, all the tanks are amazing late. Assassins are the ones that fall off and have the hardest time when it comes to late game. And this gold change screws them over pretty hard, because kills are supposed to be the name of the game for an assassin. But if they kill, they're hurting themselves. Because all that time wasted trying to get a kill can be used to get a jungle camp or just do a lane, and they'll gain more doing that. Now you can argue XP. You can argue that, well, but they level up enough, then it's fine. But when it gets to late game, there's no more leveling. There's none of that. Everyone's 20 and the assassin's screwed. That's what happens. That's what I see. What are they supposed to do? Now I can give you more examples. Instead of just doing jungle, I can give you solo lane when you're an assassin. Give you Baka or Kali who have some success there. Kali can deal with anyone in that lane from early to mid. She can fight them and do pretty well. If somehow they're still laning at late game, then she starts to fall off because just that's the nature of how she is. But early to mid game, she's doing pretty well, and she's able to secure kills because of the effectiveness of her kit. Eventually she'll get a couple kills, and then she's competitive because of her gold gains when dealing with warriors who have better stats and just can handle the mid game better and late game better than she can. But because of the stunt to the gold gain, she doesn't get her items as well as she can, which is pretty dang important, and then she's in trouble. I used to be able to crush solo lane Guans because I would kill them and then I'd have a good item advantage on them and I'd be able to deal with them mid-game. Now, because the gold change has happened, Guan Yu is able to overcome me at level 5 and I'm done after that. Even if I killed him once or twice prior to that, that is what happens, and that is pretty bad. So solo Kali has lost her effectiveness. Same thing goes for solo Baku, who could do it pretty well. Because that's how assassins work. They need the gold advantage, they need the level advantage, they need the item advantage. Because the second they become even with everyone else, they are screwed. And that is gone because of the gold gates. And that just does not work for them. And that is the problem. Like, I can show you so many examples of this. I can show you my Conquest League examples of this. I go crazy. I get a bunch of kills with Arachne. I'm trying to keep my lanes alive doing this. Just getting so many kills, but I'm not able to push because I gotta rely on them to do the pushing. And the objectives are just not getting taken, and we just get taken out. Trying to keep them down, but not keeping them down long enough. And eventually they just catch up to me, and then I can't do anything anymore for my team. And we just lose. Like, I'm giving us a good momentum at the start to the mid, but once late game happens, I'm not effective anymore because everyone's caught up to me. I don't have an item advantage anymore if I had one in the first place. And we just lose at late game. And that is a valid strategy against Arachne, has always been to take her out before late game happens, and then you win the game because she's not as strong anymore. There's things you can do to keep her effective, but she loses a lot as the game goes on. And that has happened pretty much nearly every conquest I've had lately is, no matter how hard I carry, no matter how many people I kill, and how many times I try to get pushing to happen, once we get to the late game, I am not as effective. And this is the truth for any assassin for the most part is, you're a one-on-one killer, not a group fighter, so you really just fall apart and you're not as useful as you were before, and your team has to rely on basically a 4.5 versus 5. Unless they have an assassin as well, then maybe we'll see how that goes. You see that with Arachne, where her best function is to throw down her web, use her eggs for wards, and try to pull someone out using her web, or to silence someone using her 2. Hunbat's, his best advantage, of course, is doing his ult to disrupt the situation, which is great, but once that's done, he doesn't have as much effectiveness anymore. He's all about his ult. Bastet can jump in, do some poking, then get the hell out. Loki can take someone out real quick, and if he's got blink, he can get the hell out. Fenrir's got a good position when it comes to late, because he can come in, take someone out, go in and beat them down, and then he can run back to the back, and he's fine. Thor, being an assassin, is able to get in and get out pretty well because of his teleport and his ult and all those things. Kali, though, what has she got? She comes in, does her ult, gets killed. He comes in, tries to hit some things, does her ult to get out, gets killed. Not much she can do. Mercury, of course, can do disorients, he can do a lot of things, he can hit people pretty hard, but he is squishy and he gets killed. Once you stun him, he's done. Same thing goes for Thanatos. He can hit hard, he can finish off with his ult, but once you get him stunned, he's dead, and there's a lot of stuns in this game. And that is the problem. You can't say the same for warriors as much, because they can handle groups a lot better. You look at Gon, his horse can handle a bunch of groups, he can beat them down with his 3, he can dash out and do a bunch of damage with his 2, he can heal with his 1, there you go. Hercules is meant to be in the middle of things because all the things he can do. He can take a bunch of damage, he can throw a boulder, he can pull people or just hit them with his 2, he can dash people and knock them out with his 1. Tyr can do the same thing. Tyr can just bring people out of a fight forever because of his combo, and then he can just jump out at any given time, or heal using his 2 in defensive stance. Warriors can do a lot more than an assassin can in a group setting, and that's how they're meant to be. Of course, tanks do the same thing. Mages can keep their distance and do big bursts and kill a bunch of people. Assassins just lose it. They just completely fall off, and that is a problem. Because basically you have just made a good a good percentage of the roster not mean anything because of what you've done to gold games. And that is no good. That isn't. I've talked about a lot of things. No, good players versus bad players, how you're rewarded. Good play is not as rewarded as it used to be because of how well you did. If you're fighting a rubbish opponent and you kill them, right? You kill them. You don't gain as much as you used to. You have to kill them like 2 or 3 times to gain what you used to gain. But eventually, they will either tighten up or you'll just get caught by something else or whatever. You are not rewarded for your good play. That's basically what I'm saying. Like, no matter how well you did it, even if you outmaneuvered them, even if they were also a good player, but you just outplayed them, you beat them, you kill them, they come back and they're still fine. You kill them, they're still fine, because you don't get much of an advantage anymore. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work because it just slows things down and makes PvE more important than PvP. Which is weird for a game that wants action. That is the exciting part of games, is when the engagements happen, you're killing people. The only time you should kill now is late game. That's the only time, because then they're out of the game for 60 seconds. Then you can clear things and win. That is the only time it's worth killing now. From early to mid game, you should be farming, basically. You should be PvEing. You shouldn't be killing people. You should be farming. That is my problem. There is a more focus on PvE than PvP because of the nature of the change. This does not improve the game. This does not improve it at all. I don't like it whatsoever. And it just ruins the game for a good number of gods and a good number of players. And I don't like it. Alternatives that I have is maybe putting up to 200 or 250. Like, lessening it from what it was before a little bit. Not to the drastic measure that they did. They took it down to a third, and it didn't work out. So they moved it up to a half, and I still don't think it works out. Maybe 2/3, maybe 200 base or 250 base will work. And since they care about objectives so much, make objectives worth more. They made Fire Giant worth more, but it was never worth the gold. It was always there for the Fire Giant buff. Make Gold Fury worth more. Make the towers worth more. That's what I think you should do. You want objectives to be more important? Then make them more lucrative than killing people. The old way, the objectives were not as lucrative as killing people. Now, they're in the middle with each other. If you want the objectives to be more important, make them more lucrative. And then there's another argument of psychology here is, killing is awesome for a lot of people. They enjoy doing the killing. That's why they play assassins. They like to kill people. It gives them something. Killing objectives is not as much. The better players will get the objectives and they'll win the game in the end. That's good. But for the large number of players who like to just kill, this is not a good feeling for them, and they just don't like it. And that turns them off to the game. And we don't want people turned off to the game. We don't, and that is not good. So my suggestion is putting up the gold gain, or putting up the spooling to 3 so that we get our builds better, or just making the objectives worth more. And I think the best one is making the objectives worth more, because when spooling was increased, it was all about being a tank. With the old gold gains, I felt like every class was pretty good, because every class could get some good kills and some good support going on from the support classes, and everyone was able to do well, and it worked out for assassins because eventually they fall off. They're strong early, eventually they fall off. Now, they have to kill, they have to clear, they have to do everything to be competitive. They never have a lead, and then they fall off. That's what this has done. That's my problem. So I think the gold gains from killing has to go up because this nerfed assassins and junglers more than anything else. That's what it did. It hurt those who got ahead by killing instead of farming. And it does not reward you for playing well. Now it's playing well is farming well and not getting killed, and then killing someone in the team fighting phase when everyone has long cooldowns. Not long cooldowns, long respawns. Playing well is not rewarded by this style. Being passive is rewarded by this style of gold gain. And the best way to do it, I think, is increasing the gold gain a little bit more and make the objectives worth more than killing people. Because right now, they're not worth more than killing people. They're worth the same amount, and that hasn't changed anyone's opinions, has it? I'm looking at it right now. I haven't seen it change anyone's opinions. People still care about killing, but they hate that they don't gain as much. I think it's good to make objectives worth more. I think it's good to say, well, if you want to win the game, get the dang objectives, because killing ain't going to win it for you. It will clear the way to winning, but you need to clear the objectives to win. So make them worth more. Make the Gold Fury worth more. You want fights at the Gold Fury? Make that worth more. Fights happen, but not as much. People would rather go for it after everyone else is dead than fight over it. You got to give them something worth fighting for, not something worth getting it when it's safe. Because that's what we got. We have a safe game. That is what we have. Safe. Passive. Not action. PvE over PvP. That is what we have, and it needs to be changed, or else it's just going to be pretty dang boring. But at the end of the day, still love this game, and I have to adapt. And we'll probably see less assassins because of that. Well, that is my argument. It could have been made better, I'm sure, and we can do a better argument through comments with other people, so we can find just a better solution to what's going on, because I don't like what I'm seeing. Don't just say it's good how it is now, or that we just need to change it. No. Put a little thought into it. I want to really see what we can do better for this, and I'd like someone with mathematics better than mine to really talk over it. And that's it. That's the video. I hope you had fun watching the Hell game. It was pretty good. And I hope you have some thoughts after what I have to say. that is the video. I had fun. Hope you had fun watching it. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.